Hey guys, it's the Conic, and we're back with episode 2 of the Build Diary series. I was going to make videos a bit more frequently than I currently have. Then I realized there really wasn't much changing until I did a bigger swap. So we're going to be talking a bit about where we're currently at in terms of the build, what mechanics we can actually take advantage of, and how I felt with playing it so far. So just starting off with how the build's performing so far. Honestly, not so far so good. I'm at about, I'd like to say 30 build DPS, and I made the spell burst switch, which was my biggest concern going into the build, trying to get the rat herder belt, because this is a misfill exclusive item and it can be pricey. I ended up getting this for about 2300 FE at the time, and since then my damage has been able to like increase in very healthy chunks essentially. I've beaten TA Traveler. I can actually relatively comfortably farm Profound. I am not tanky by any means. I will not eat a hit from most things, but I can kill most things very relatively quickly, so I can't complain about my damage. It's more so defenses that I need to prop up essentially. Now, to quickly cover some of the changes since last video, there's been a lot, so bear with me. First things first, the belt. This belt allows my minions to use spell burst, so they actually repeat their attacks. Now, that just means whenever they cast their main active skill, they are going to repeat that ability five times. It's an upper limit of 4, but thanks to the support gem called Undercurrent, their basic attack cannot use the spell burst once it's charged, and B, it gives them 1 extra to give them the 5th repeat. So basically, whenever this is cast, it repeats 5 extra times. So it's basically 6 casts whenever it procs. And then we're using Wind Rhythm, just the bare minimum in terms of T1 cast speed applying to CDR to apply CDR to Grim Phantoms, just so the actual cooldown on the skill isn't 5 seconds like base, but rather we've gotten it down to, I think right now it's about 0.9 seconds per charge for the cooldown anyways. So this allows us to scale cast speed, and the main damage is basically just going to be the spell bursted triggered ability, which is constant. I can actually show what the damage looks like. I'm going to have to spam Dargates to keep DPS up. Oh, my bad. I actually also need to channel my ability, so hence why the damage looked like it was not up to 30, but as you can see, it's in the 30, could be even up to 40. We're chilling is the TLDR of that, and that is what Claire looks like. I'll run a quick map for you guys towards the end of the video, most likely, just to showcase what this build looks like anyways. But yeah, that's the spellburst swap. We're currently using False God skins with double int as the amulet. We're going to replace this with a Warden's Breastplate once we can afford a corroded minions cannot deal physical damage version, because if you take the minions can only deal with physical damage version, the uncorroded mod, you're going to do ZDPS, because Grim Phantom's baseline do physical damage but convert 100% to lightning damage, so they literally cannot do physical damage. They have no physical damage to deal. Then we're using Fiend Crown for lucky crit. Once we get the amulet, we shouldn't need the lucky crit anymore. The goal is to use Warden's Breastplate to cap my crit chance and just go from there. We're currently using all priceless. We have a dex chest, so we can actually get lightning infiltration here. That is the only reason we have this chest. Otherwise, we'd be going for pure armor. We're also, of course, life based. We have the boots. This mod, I'm undecided as to what to replace it with. I actually know what I want to replace it with, and I just haven't gotten around to replacing it with multiplicative life. But for now, we have this, and I might also go for gear armor. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do on that front yet. But this is just a placeholder start because I hit T1, so it's like, why not? Rings, we're trying to get as much command as we can, so each of them is giving us 10 command a second. And this one has some chance to deal double damage. We're going to replace this with the same mod here, but considering we are not res capped, I'm in no rush to do that. And then this is the biggest, this is the most expensive price list I have. Actually got a pretty good base with early pen as well as flat face to spells as the base affixes, and then I just put any random sequence I could that would help, in this case cast speed, which of course, like I said, gives us CDR, but because it's on the weapon and we give the weapon to the Grim Phantoms, it also just gives them damage from their basic attacks and how quickly they can cast that. Again, we went for erosion pen, flat lightning, int. 4 beams is huge because each beam for destructive light cannon counts as 30% multiplicative damage. So those 4 equal to 120% additional damage. So that is why we are using that despite the less multiplier here. And of course, it just makes the default attack hits harder because that actually shotguns. So 4 beams is huge and allows us to drop the support gem that give us multiple beams. Then we're going for cast speed again. They get to double dip, mentioned the last one. And life regain might not be an obvious reason why we have this here. We're going for life regain because we are opting for quantum convergence and not just any mod corroded. We are specifically wanting this corroded mod. We kind of want both of them corroded if you can, but that's don't necessarily always have what we want now, do we? But you want them to consume as much life as possible. That way your minions get hits into low life, where regain ends up being very effective at regenerating their health back up after the regain interval, of course. And by ping-ponging these two, you're actually able to get a very healthy stackage going on here when it comes to this modifier here. I think this is more effective than going for corroded this and this uncorroded, but we'll see. I'll keep testing that essentially. That essentially covers the gear. If you haven't already, do consider liking and subscribing, as it helps the channel out a lot. Hero traits. We have a 50-50 for cast speed. Again, CDR, you don't need me to keep repeating that. And then minion crits, and this one, I got this one for a pretty good bargain. Int minion crits. I dropped hero levels because even without this extra level, because as of when I was scaling, I had this with hero trait level to get this level 4 on an orange base, but I opted to switch that because I have 100% uptime even with level 3, so I don't need the extra scaling, and as such I just went for more crit chance, minion crit chance essentially. I do not currently have anything on my pact page except this crit, but when I do get my amulet, the goal is to have many more of these, just so we can double dip with personal crit and minion crit and have them get some of the personal crit via Warden's Breastpin's goal anyways. Then talent tree wise, we haven't changed too much. We're using Steel Vanguard with Dark Advance. The Dark Advance, of course, makes Stargate into a movement skill, so we don't need to have Blink aside Dark Advance. We just have Dark Advance. And then it also provides minion crit rating and minion crit rating to all micro and medium talents. So this, and this all give a minion crit rating. These can also give me, but I have less reason to have those two up. And then past that, we have less elemental damage shaking, and then some phase converted here. Additional damage to life there. We also have some phase conversion on the chest piece, and I think on the boots. So we actually end up converting, this is 12, this is 13, so that's 25, about 31% phase to elemental, which helps a lot with the physical damage we are taking essentially. Now in regards to slate, we have made our minions immune to every element. So we try to prioritize getting immune to every element. We have immune to numbed here. We have immune to cold here, immune to trauma on a falling starlight, because we can only have 3 corners of divinities, but with my slate setups, I decided that I'll just go for 3 falling starlights instead. So this has immune to fire. This has um +1 lightning and minion crits, just basically +1 to make up the extra spot. And then this is immune to wilt. So this is wilt, fire, lightning, cold, physical. That's basically how we get immune to all 5. And then here, eventually I want to get persistent skill level. I haven't yet, but that is something else we can get on the Goddess of Deception, which would be really good because Grim Phantoms are considered persistent skills. And then here the goal is to have +4 command on every one of these, but I haven't actually gotten around to getting the extra +4 on this one. And I do have it here, and I will probably replace this because I do have ailment chance here. Ailment, of course, just allows us to apply numbed with their hits, which makes enemies take more damage, which is a damage multiplier, as you may imagine. And other than that, going through this gem section, like I said, we're currently using Undercurrent because we are proccing our ability every 0.9 seconds, give or take, and so we can actually just really scale Destructive Light Cannon as a result. Now we are using Ring of Blades as our channel skill of choice, just because it allows us to move while we channel. We could also go Path of Flames. I'm not decided on which is better, but I have no issues there. This also provides a source of barrier, which is really good. I really like it. Very healthy defensive layer, and when paired with the less damage taking while channeling, feels really comfortable. And the reason why we channel is because this one requires me to channel for the spell burst charge speed, which is a lot of damage, which is why when I was DPS checking, you saw it didn't have damage while I was channeling, or it had like half the damage basically. We have life source as a defensive skill with instant restoration to make sure we're always full health whenever I drop below the percent determined by activation medium, which is 58. We have Dark Gates, we have Mass Effects to increase the effects and give us max charges, and then we're just scaling CDR and duration, and then we're using this as our mobility skill. And then prayer, we're using prayer again so our minions have a bit more life to then get consumed by this, so they have a bigger buff percent, since this is based on every 5% of life lost. You want them to have more life, so then when they consume that 14%, it ideally leads to them consuming more than 5% of their max life. But if they get too low, then 14% of their current life will not be up to 5% of their max life, etc. So you want them to have as much life to consume. Want them to have a healthy balance, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. We also are using this trait, which also wants them to lose 5% of life lost every second, essentially. So we really want them to lose 5% or more. Both of them stack a lot, so you want them to just lose as much of it, or as high of a percent as possible, and then you don't want them to die, so we made them immune to damage essentially. All right, that about covers all the changes. We'll run a quick map and showcase the build, at least how it's performing thus far. And like I said, I have already beaten Traveler 8, and I am currently in Profound, so we're doing a quick Profound map. We are currently running Cube, so we'll end up taking all the... I do believe I am immune to trauma, so let's hope I don't regret that. We allow ourselves to channel up for a bit. And like I said, we are not tanky by any means, so we're going to want to avoid as much free damage as we can. The thing I think I enjoy most about the setup is just how effective the damage is at hitting things that are off screen. Yep, I saw that coming. I do not currently do Overrealm because it still has been very underwhelming for me in my experience. I haven't played with him much since making it too profound though, so maybe it's time to check it out. But yeah, that's how the maps feel. I get to hit a lot of things off screen. Things only res for the most part show up on my screen, especially when dealing with like less tanky map mods. But yeah, that about covers the setup so far. I'm going to keep streaming this on Twitch and YouTube, so if you want to follow the progress live, or if you have a question, feel free to stop by. If you haven't already, do consider liking and subscribing, as that helps the channel out a lot. And with all that said, thank you for watching.